Welcome back, everybody. It's EdTheTrainer. And you know that old saying, it's not about what you say, but how you say it, right? Well, sometimes it is about what you say, too. One of Dale Carnegie's golden rules is to never criticize or condone. Well, if you're not considering how what you're saying is actually being perceived, it may come across exactly as a criticism. And that's what's coming up on this week's Tips on Tuesday. So here's a bit of an email string that came across my desk this week with a note about business etiquette. The customer says, "What happened to a no closing cost VA mortgage?" And the loan originator's response is, "There's never been such a loan, at least none that I've heard of. All of these people involved, the title company, the appraiser, the underwriters, processors, they're not going to work for free or they'd go out of business. Who do you think pays them?" The customer, of course, then responds, "Please delete my file and records because I don't want to do business with you anymore." It's not surprising. This was a customer who was asking questions about something she'd obviously heard somewhere. And the response was, if we're going easy, less than graceful. So let's touch on a few things here. This was a great opportunity for an LO to educate a customer and explain exactly how loan pricing works and the options that customer might have in their personal situation. You see, this advertising is out there. These types of programs and opportunities for borrowers to roll in closing costs exist, but it may not be applicable for every situation. Let's educate borrowers about that. Number two, this email response came after several months of communication and then an emailed list of closing costs. So what were the expectations set long before this particular email? What are the expectations being set in any sales transaction as the consumer relationship begins? That's the most important part. We can't expect, if we've not done a good job in building up proper expectation, that we can surprise our customer and expect them to be happy over it. Number three, this was an email chain. Sometimes, guys, it's best to pick up the phone and have these conversations in person. Emails and texts can be misconstrued or misinterpreted even when the message is much less abrasive than what you've seen here. And even though it may make our lives much more convenient, it's commonly best to take Herm Edwards' advice. Don't press it! Particularly, guys, when you have an angry conversation that may take place, pick up the phone. Obviously, this is a mortgage world example here, but it's a scenario that plays out all across the sales and customer service spectrum. Expectations aren't set clearly by the parties, and messages can get misunderstood, and all of a sudden, it comes to an acrimonious end. I know. Many of you are thinking, come on, Ed, the customer isn't always right. But how about when you're the customer, aren't you? Always right? I bet you think you are. And that's where I think a lot of this type of misfire happens, when we forget what it's like to be on the other side. How would we expect to be treated if we were the client? How would you react to an email like that? Before you press send next time, think about that question. And it's with that precise point in mind, our question of the week. Who can tell me what Abe Lincoln was famous for doing when he had a disagreement and intended to hash it out with a rival? Watch out. A little Tips on Tuesday call out for my history buffs this week. Leave your comments below me here and we'll randomly select a winner from all of the correct answers. Thanks for spending a couple of minutes with me this morning, guys. I hope you have a great week and we'll see you soon.